What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. So as you can see, I'm not in my normal filming spot. Normally I film in my bedroom where there is a lot of natural sunlight, but at the time that I'm filming this, it is dark outside, so I'm in my living room instead. I don't know how this is going to turn out in terms of like lighting and the colors and everything, so I apologize if things look a little bit wonky because I've never filmed right here before, but I just figured I'll give it a try, see how it goes. I do have some fall decorations behind me. I don't know if you can see them that well, but I just figured this is kind of appropriate given that it is now fall officially. But anyway, in today's video I want to give a little bit of an update about my C. diff infection. If you're not caught up, I do have a video on my channel that I did a couple weeks ago talking about my current ongoing battle with C. diff, and I also talk about a specific strain that I have that I tested positive for. So go check out that video first and then watch this one, so that way you're kind of caught up and you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, let's get started. So first, I just want to start off by saying, for those of you who are wondering, I don't feel any better at all. I don't necessarily feel worse, but I really just feel about the same. Not much has changed, unfortunately. So it is very frustrating. It just feels like this is dragging on forever. I just want to get on with my life and be able to get back to doing normal activities and feeling normal again. So I believe I mentioned in my last video that I had to go see the infectious disease doctor, or at the time I was getting ready to go see the infectious disease doctor. Well, I did go and see him, and unfortunately he was not very helpful at all. I was very, very disappointed. I had a lot of questions I wanted to ask him regarding the specific strain of C. diff that I have that my gastroenterologist just wasn't able to answer for me. She had kind of, expressed that the infectious disease doctor would be able to answer those questions for me and kind of give me some reassurance, and that did not happen, unfortunately. He was very dismissive. He actually told me he didn't even believe that it was C. diff at all, despite me testing positive for toxins, not just for colonization, but actually testing positive for toxins, having all of the symptoms. I actually was tested by 2 different doctors at 2 different labs. So everything came back positive. I don't know why he implied that he really didn't believe that it was C. diff at all. But the part that was the most confusing was that he told me that he didn't believe it was C. diff, but then proceeded to prescribe me Difficid. And if you're not familiar with what any of this means, I apologize, but if you are familiar, if you have had C. diff, you'll know what I'm talking about. Difficid is a very difficult to get, very expensive antibiotic that is used to treat C. diff. From my understanding, it is probably the best treatment for C. diff, but unfortunately it's not readily accessible to everyone who needs it, like I said, due to the cost and due to the fact that it is difficult to get. Sometimes it's difficult to get a doctor to even agree to prescribe it at all, but even if the doctor does agree, sometimes you can't always find a pharmacy that has it. Sometimes insurance won't pay for it, so there's just a lot of variables there. So I was very confused about why he would say that he didn't believe it was C. diff and then turned right around and said, but sure, I'll give you Difficid. So I don't know. I try not to dwell on it, but it's just very confusing to me. I was getting a lot of mixed signals from him. But anyway, I did meet with him. He prescribed the Difficid, and I'll talk more about that in a second. I had a follow-up appointment with my PCP's office, and then I also spoke with my gastroenterologist on the phone for about maybe 15 minutes or so, and none of my questions are still able to be answered. Everyone just keeps telling me that they don't know the answers, that they don't really know what's going on in terms of this specific strain. I kind of get the impression that they might not see it that often, and I don't necessarily think it's because people don't necessarily have it that often, but more if you're not testing for that strain specifically, you might not always find it. So I think that's probably what the situation is. So I'm still left with a lot of questions unanswered, a lot of uncertainty. I really don't know what is going on right now, but I was able to get the Difficid. It had to be sent to a special pharmacy. They had to special order it. Thank God my insurance paid for the whole entire thing. I was walking on eggshells thinking that they weren't gonna pay for it, or that they may have only paid for half or something, but luckily I got very fortunate. They did cover the full cost. Then I had to wait for it to come in stock and then be mailed to me, because the pharmacy that that was able to get it was about like 90 minutes from my apartment or so. They just said it was easier to just mail it rather than having me or have someone go get it for me. So anyway, I got the Difficid earlier this week. I did start taking it. I feel horrible. From my understanding, a lot of people have said that, you know, Difficid didn't really have any side effects for them, that they felt really good while taking it, but I have just felt awful. You know, a lot of nausea, really bad fatigue, stomach pain that radiates into my back, just a lot of discomfort. So I'm not sure how much of that is the Difficid versus how much of that is the C. diff infection versus how much of that is this specific strain that I have. The strain that I have is known to produce more toxins. It's also known to be more likely to be antibiotic resistant. I do believe that it was resistant to the vancomycin. I did 2 rounds of vancomycin. It did not touch it at all. I had no improvement. I know a lot of people, when they have reoccurrences, they'll say that their symptoms improved and that they started feeling better, and then like a week or 2 later everything came back. For me, it never went away. Everything was just basically exactly the same. So that's why now we're trying the Difficid. So like I said, there's just so many variables, so many questions unanswered. It's just very frustrating. Like I said, I'm just ready for this whole thing to be over. I'm hoping within the next couple of days, once the Difficid really builds up in my system, that I'll hopefully start seeing some sort of improvement, some sort of progression forward, and not just feeling stuck you know, in the same place. And if you haven't seen any of my other videos, I know some of you might be watching, you might be wondering, you know, is it really C. diff? You know, what if it's something else? Maybe that's why the antibiotics aren't responding, or that's not responding to the antibiotics. I do have IBS. I was diagnosed with that in 2019. I have a lot of stomach issues. I've had acid reflux pretty much my whole entire life since I was a newborn. I was also diagnosed with diverticulitis in 2019. And I also have a history of stomach ulcers. And I can honestly say that after having C. diff that first time in 2017, that pain it compares to none of those things. It's so unique and so, it's like severe that you can't mistake it for anything else. That was what pushed me to get tested initially back in July, because I just knew that, you know, initially I thought it was IBS, and I kind of waited about a week or like 10 days or so. And then finally I had this one day where the pain just totally changed up on me, and I knew right then, I was like, this feels like C. diff, this does not feel like IBS. And sure enough, they, you know, did the test. Had to wait like 3 days for the test to come back, but it came back positive for C. diff toxins. So it's really not a pain that you could mistake for anything else. And, you know, like I said, I had different tests done by different doctors, different labs. Everything did come back positive for toxins. So, you know, I have no doubt in my mind that it is a C. diff infection, but I just think that this specific strain is a little bit more difficult to treat and a little bit more, you know, definitely more on the severe side of things. My gastroenterologist told me that she's actually never seen this strain before, that she is familiar with it, she knows what it is, but that she's never actually treated someone for it. So that's kind of alarming, if that gives you any idea in terms of how serious this really is. So I'm not sure. Like I said, we just have to kind of wait and see if the Difficid will help, kind of see, you know, go from there. I'm a little bit surprised that they haven't tried to do any other sort of testing or imaging. They didn't do any type of blood work or anything like that. They haven't done a CT scan, an x-ray, anything like that. I imagine that that might be, you know, the next steps if this doesn't work. But I am super curious, you know, that they're like only relying on the lab test and not using any other indicators to try to narrow down, is it just C. diff or is it C. diff plus something else? Like, is there more going on here? But I don't know. So anyway, that's pretty much the whole entire update in terms of where I'm at right now. Like I said, just kind of waiting things out, hoping that things get better and start to improve. The part that sucks is I've been getting so many mixed answers in terms of whether it is safe for me to leave the house or not. I've heard one doctor told me, no, you should definitely stay home because you're really contagious. Another doctor said, well, if your symptoms start slowing down and if you're not having really severe symptoms, you know, yeah, you can leave the house, go back to work, whatever. So it's just kind of a lot of conflicting information. My symptoms have been pretty steady this entire time. And, you know, like I said, not really worse, but also not really better either. So I kind of don't really know how to proceed. I've just been hanging out at home. You know, I've been out a couple of times here and there. I went to the grocery store once. I went to the dollar store once. That's about it for the most part. I've just been staying home, but that also means I have not been able to work. So that's really impacting everything as well, in terms of like bills and like household expenses, all of that. I did start a GoFundMe just to kind of help with some of that stuff. If you are interested in donating and if you're able to donate, I would appreciate it so much. The link will be down in the description below. If not, if you're not able to, I totally understand. You know, it's hard out here. We're all in the same boat. Everyone is just trying to get by, so I totally understand. But yeah, it just kind of sucks just feeling stir crazy. I have so many videos that I have a whole list written out of videos that I want to do for the month of October, and like probably 75% of them require leaving the house and going out and doing something. So now it's like me trying to brainstorm like how I would even pull that off. You know, if I'm, you know, not only physically able to, but, you know, making sure that I'm not contagious, making sure that it's safe for everyone else around me, and also the financial aspect. You know, I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's not like anything super expensive, but just little things like, you know, going out to the pumpkin patch and getting pumpkins, or like going on a hayride. Like, I want to do a bunch of videos about stuff like that, all fall themed, Halloween themed videos. So I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of that. But I do have a bunch of videos that I have planned out that I can and will do from home. So, you know, worst case scenario, if I'm only able to do things from home, I'll just have to make it work. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see what ends up happening. But anyway, that is it pretty much for the whole entire update. Unfortunately, like, I hate making these videos because they're not that popular on my channel, and I totally understand why. I'm not mad about it. It's not that interesting to hear about. People really don't want to hear about your colon infection. Like, who wants to hear about that? But like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, this is a major thing that is going on in my life right now. So I feel like it is something that I do need to talk about and document, particularly with having this unique strain of this. I really wasn't able to find a lot of other people's experiences online with this strain. I am in a Facebook support group for C. diff. I'm also in a Reddit support group for C. diff, and it's just not that common. I have not been able to find that many firsthand experiences talking about this strain and what people did that worked and how long people were battling it for. So I, you know, kind of wanted to just document as much as I could just to help anybody else out there who might be in a similar boat that I am. So yeah, I don't blame you if you're not interested in watching these types of videos, or if you're tired of them. I'm tired of making them. You know, I can't wait till I can make a video and say, yes, I feel so much better, I feel great. So hopefully that day will come soon. But anyway, I'll just have to kind of play it by ear. You know, hopefully there won't be too many more updates after this, but that is it for now. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel. It helps me out so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.